Danny West with In-Depth Physio, and you are watching another episode of the SOAPBOX, your patient education station. We are continuing our conversation with our big toe. So last session we talked about how we can start strengthening the big toe, easy things to watch for, just not walking like a duck, to again prevent the formation of bunions. So what happens if your toe has been like that forever? It's gonna be super stiff, muscles are gonna be a little tight in and around the big toe. So I just wanted to show kind of two quick and easy kind of self-release techniques for the big toe and the arch, and also a way to get specific about using the tennis ball to try and promote some more mobility in through this midfoot. Because if you think, it's not all about the big toe, even though that was the theme from before. We also have all these little joints in here, and they can get kind of restricted, and our foot should have some nice supple deformation as we walk. So when we walk, again, our foot's just not one big chunk of bone. So we want to start to weight bear on the heel. It slightly goes out to the side. We should almost have what's called like an arch squishy, that's the technical term. Little bit of an arch deformation as we go to toe off the big toe, okay? But if you watch, people have different kind of shaped arches. Some are really high, a pes cavus, very rigid. Other people's are almost too collapsed. So if you look, and if the foot's on the ground, they almost don't have a nice little gradual mouse hole under here. If you look at mine, mine's very flattened, so I have to kind of work on arch strengthening to try to mimic that support from underneath the foot, okay? And some people's, again, are very defined. Some people's are very squishy and floppy. Some people's feet are very firm and rigid. We want, again, a little Goldilocks rule, not too firm, not too floppy, right in the middle. So what we can start to do, if we're walking and we're not seeing like a little bit of that arch deformation, a little bit of arch squishiness as we weight bear, we want to try to loosen up kind of maybe some of the tension that's built up under the foot, and again can correlate with that big toe stiffness as well. So I love using cups, myofascial cups. You can get, you've probably seen like the glass ones that acupuncturists use. You can also get some really do-it-yourself, just kind of rubber cups. And so you can get any lotion. You basically kind of, we're looking at the bottom of the foot here, and just kind of rub a little bit of lotion on the bottom of the foot. And if you look, the foot almost has like a whitened part of the arch. That's all I'm gonna work on. I'm not really going into the heel or any of these parts for today's purposes. I kind of use my thumbs as my tools. I'm gonna start at the heel, I put a bit of pressure, and I just start to massage in through that whitened part of the arch, the gushy part, the meaty part. If you have plantar fascia, the token plantar fascia pain is gonna be in through the heel, so if it's a little tender, again, don't reef-on your foot, just kind of gently kind of massage through it. There's a little muscle that is correlated with big toe tightness right along the metatarsal of that big toe. So if I wanted to be particular, start to work on my big toe range of motion, I'm just gonna bias some of my pressure in towards kind of the midline or longitudinal arch of the foot, right along the big toe, okay? So I would do that maybe 10 minutes. If your thumbs are getting sore, that's where the cups are really nice. So I like the little one, or depending on how big your foot is, kind of the medium sized. And I basically just push, peel it on, and let it go. And it actually feels kind of nice. And I would just leave that on for about 5 minutes. And what it's doing is the equivalent of my release technique. It's actually the suction. What it does is tractions all the layers of the tissue, fascia, various muscle layers apart. So again, they can slide and glide on each other a little bit easier. Also, If those muscles, again, are super tight, there's a lot of tension under there, it's not gonna give us that nice arch squishy, or it's not gonna allow that midfoot to move very well. So again, we don't want things super floppy, we don't want them super rigid, but this is a great way to kind of start releasing things, okay? So, love the cups for the bottom of the feet. Now, if you're like not a foot person and that really grosses you out, touching your own feet, it's a thing. This is where I like to do a specific sequence that Bonnie Lynn here at Embodied Pilates taught me. I like to be specific with people because people kind of tend to interpret things differently, or just they're kind of missing the mark if they just kind of go and wing it. So I have a very particular tennis ball sequence that I like to teach you. It's great again to not only loosen up the muscles in the fascia of the foot, but also start to gently kind of wiggle all those muscles of the midfoot. So, tennis ball I like, it's got a bit of a squish to it, but I'm gonna start with it on the ball of my foot, and I'm just gonna start to pulse. My heel is planted, and I'm really kind of putting some body weight into it. I'm letting the foot kind of pancake over the ball. I would do about 10 pulses. Then I'm gonna move down, so I'm more in the middle part of my foot, the meatier part, and I'm gonna do about 10 pulses here. Again, really letting the foot flop and relax over the ball. And again, just if it's a little tender under here, if you do have plantar fasciitis, you know, you don't need to press as hard, or you can kind of switch up the position where the ball is. I also like to do maybe closer to the heel or right on the heel, and I'll do a few body weight pulses here as well. Okay, the next series, so after I'm done working kind of vertically down the foot, I'm gonna do what's called a zigzag. So I'm gonna start at the base of the big toe, and I'm gonna start to pulse here. Again, 5 to 10 times. Then I'm gonna work down maybe half a centimeter, and I'm gonna go to the baby toe side of the foot. Couple pulses here. I zigzag it down, working my way down. I'm more on the meaty part of the arch. Few pulses here. I zigzag it to the outside of the foot. Few pulses here. And then again, I can choose to go right under the heel, but if that's too tender, I can go right on the heel. Few pulses here. And after we're done one side, I always like to do a bit of a check-in, but I actually stand and like that right foot, or the foot you just kind of released, it'll just have more like awareness, more sensitivity, almost feels a little bit more active. You just have a bit more sensation through that foot. Okay, and it's gonna help it feel a little looser than that side that you didn't do. Obviously do both sides, but again, a little bit of cupping, a little bit of massage of the bottoms of the feet, or the tennis ball technique are really great to again start to gently kind of mobilize the midfoot and just loosen up a few things if you have some foot tightness, okay? Tune in next week, we're talking about arch strengthening, so not just the loosening of the tissue under the foot, but now we need to get some activation through there to help us with walking and all of our day-to-day stuff, okay? Thanks guys, we'll see you next week.